I am the puppet master. I manipulate many of the characters and events you will see. But I'm invented, too, for your entertainment and amusement. And you, poor creatures, who conjured you out of the clay? Is God in show business, too?
Hold the string! Hold the string! The mistake is made.
The gun is good.
I did not hit her. It's not true. It's bullshit. I did not hit her. I did not. Oh, hi, Mark.
Who are you? I'm your brother. But I am now one, dummy.
They're eating her. And then they're going to eat me.
Because all you of Earth are idiots.
I bless you with my name. You shall be Blackula.
Damn, look like my women is on time. Babe, I could so warm you up.
No shit, baby.
No! Yes. He likes the human. Hey, we've spoken well, I mean.
You don't have to die. Well, no one has to die at 30.
You can live. Live!
Oh, man. Oh, God. Oh, man. Oh, God. Oh, man. Oh, God. Oh, man. Oh, God. Oh, man. Oh, God.
Hello and welcome to Cinema to Fromage, the show where we watch cheesy cinema so you don't have to. And tonight's episode, as you can see, is Adventures in Babysitting, which we shall see the exciting trailer now.
Meet Chris Parker, getting ready for the greatest night of her life.
Hi.
I gotta cancel. Now she's stuck babysitting the Anderson kids. Sara,
Mom got Chris to babysit for me.
Chris, her brother Brad, his best friend Daryl.
Who is this kid? Stray dog.
Take good care of my baby. I'll guard her with my life.
What could possibly go wrong?
Chris, I'm in trouble. Hang up and sit down. I'll be there in half an hour.
This is the night when things go from bad to worse.
Big city. Stone sucker.
To ridiculous.
Wanna go to bed?
Hey, I like that.
You should try babysitting.
And this is only the beginning.
Your friend is dead. Chris can handle it.
Sarah's probably hanging from the rafters by now. Sarah, hold on! I'm still in control here.
You could say they were having a bad night.
Big problems? No, not really.
If they weren't having such a good time. Adventures in Babysitting.
You think your parents will ever ask me to babysit again?
If they do, I'd ask them for $1 more an hour.
On mute. I am not. Yes, I am. Sorry, folks. I just want to talk to myself. Welcome to Cinema Fromage. Tonight, of course, is Adventures of Babysitting, an exciting film picked out just for you. So let us start first off. I think Jen has the synopsis of the film that we're going to be watching. So Jen, tell us what the heck we just watched.
Indeed, I do. This is an awesome film directed by Chris Columbus, who seemed to direct almost every awesome movie in the 1980s that there was. No, I'm just kidding, but throw it in there anyway. When plans with her boyfriend fall through, high school senior Chris Parker ends up babysitting the Anderson kids, Brad and Sara. What should be a quiet night in, however, turns into a series of ridiculous exploits, starting when they leave the house to pick up Chris' friend Brenda. Soon, Brad's buddy Daryl is involved, and the group must contend with car thieves, blues musicians, and so much more.
And that's it?
And that is it.
Okay, so succinct and to the point, I say. Well, okay, so let's get right down to it right away, because this is Josh's pick this week. Josh, I want you to talk to us a bit about this film and why you picked it, and why the film's here.
Well, I think it goes without saying that this is a cheesy film, and the thing is, it was one of those movies, like a lot of us, when we come up with cheesy movies, it's one I watched when I was a kid all the time. And, when we're kids, I don't want to say we are dumb, but we have an appreciation for the cheesiness that adults just have a hard time grasping. So, yeah, if you're an adult watching Adventures in Babysitting for the first time, I can see where you're a little put off. But as a kid, especially as a kid in the 80s, you see a movie about kids on an adventure, sure, with their babysitter, but, look at their babysitter. Digress. It's a fun adventure movie for kids, and I do mean that. If we watched it, and yeah,
I don't know about the language. There's a couple of things there where I don't think were meant for kids.
The 80s were a weird time. Remember, Rambo had a toy line.
True, that is true.
So meant for kids,
hadn't quite got out of the system yet.
Meant for kids meant something completely different all those years ago.
Okay, and I noticed your avatar there is a very fancy one, and I don't want to spoil things, but that is a very important avatar you've got going.
Yeah, it's one of the most important characters in the film, and I just want to know, King.
Yes.
Do you have my $50 or not?
No, I do not. I'm sorry.
But the car.
Kente, what were your thoughts on the film?
Actually, this is a movie I did watch when I was a kid. I enjoyed it a lot then, and I enjoyed it again this time. There was some stuff that was cringy, seeing it now as an adult, but for the most part, I had a really good time with it again, and it was stupid and silly in a good way.
And Olaf is here. He watched with us the other night. And Olaf, your thoughts on the film?
Well, I really liked it. It's a good, fun film. A lot of, here you start out and you're, wind up getting picked up by a wrecker, and then you wind up singing and all. It's cheesy, but it's a good, fun movie. I liked it. So I enjoyed it the first time I saw it. And it was really nice to watch it the other night again.
And your thoughts on that, Jen?
Well, this movie, in a similar vein to Baby's Day Out, which was also directed by Chris Columbus, has that schlocky, awesome feel to it where anything can and will happen. And I have to say that this movie really kind of goes along at a bit of a clip. It's, there's a couple of little problems, which I'm sure we'll get into. But overall, it's fun. It is just fun to watch. As ridiculous as it sounds, it's actually a fun movie.
Yeah. What problems were you thinking that were in the film?
Well, for me, there's, these are sort of the parts where they drag, where there's a little bit too much sort of, I don't want to say crazy exposition, but where there really shouldn't be any exposition. They should just show us because we're smart and we can figure it out. And then there are really the things that are so over the top that they totally work in the film, but when you step back from it just a little bit, you're like, wow, this girl is a really bad babysitter. there's kids hanging from buildings. So yeah.
Wait a minute. If I babysitted your kids and they ended up hanging from a building, would you have an issue with me?
Well, you probably wouldn't be getting paid.
What?
Yeah, sorry.
Well, but that's how usually when I babysit kids, that's pretty much a normal night for me.
Oh, well, now I know who not to hire as a babysitter. I got it. Okay.
This movie set the tone for the babysitters in my life. I would expect nothing less.
Did they live up to it, Josh? That's what I want to know.
Oh, I haven't hired them yet.
Oh, you haven't hired them yet.
I think if you go into this movie expecting, Casablanca or expecting, highbrow comedy or whatever, I really feel like you're just not gonna enjoy it. It's a silly 80s movie that needs to be put in that context. And I had a good time.
Just if I could add one more quick thing. I know I keep mentioning his name, but honestly, if you grew up or if you sort of even look back on all of the body of work that was Chris Columbus, this movie fits so perfectly in with this whole range of films that he directed. And it just has this sort of campiness. Everything is so incredibly over the top, but somehow he puts it together. Honestly, I think that's why he was chosen to do the Harry Potter films in the beginning, because it is so fantastical, and yet somehow he makes it interesting and within reach of us to want to watch it without walking out going, what did I just watch?
Well, I mean, I found it the film to be like it's a typical 80s comedy, a little less smutty than most of the time. It was geared more for, I guess, a younger audience, though I'd say the language and some of the material was a little bit not quite for the younger ones. But, you've got that nice veneer of, hey, the kids are having an adventure during the night. So that was, it's not bad. I found it a little cringy here and there, and not just because it's dated, because dated, that's one thing, but there's some things about him going, okay, this is a very suburban person's idea of going to the big city. And it plays really badly in some places. And by the way, no one can leave here until they sing.
Ta!
So that's what I'm going to say.
Oh, trust me, if I start singing, you'll be wishing you'd left early.
So, Josh, where does the film not quite work for you?
From my current perspective?
No, both. I mean, maybe at the time something seemed better than what it is today.
Well, at the time I thought it was a flawless movie. I had it on VHS, recorded from HBO, and just would watch it on repeat. Today, there's a few scenes that pop out. Like, let's see. Like I mentioned at the top that this was a movie geared towards kids, and it was. But the gang fight, maybe a little bit much if it was made today and geared towards kids. That's where you get the couple of F-bombs. And I think from a take on what the current PC culture is, I don't think the blues bar scene would work at all.
Yeah, I was going to say the blues bar scene reminds me of the modern equivalent would be basically the white guy walking in and doing a rap because he can do it, and all the people clap because he's rapping. He's all straight and
even though he's never done it before.
Yeah, especially because he's never done it before, but because he can rhyme. I mean, it's that cringy moment you see in those movies where a white guy starts rapping and you go, that guy's terrible. But everyone applauds and they think that's amazing because it's movie land. And it's, like, I don't think there's any blues bar that would, have let those guys go that long. The audience would have been booing them off the stage.
Well, I think
these guys apparently thought they were amazing, and I don't know why.
I think the purpose of that scene is supposed to be absurd. So, you can't take it too serious, but it is a little cringy at now.
Oh, it's cringy.
But I'll say this, though, about this film is, I think we need to start thinking about films as, if it works for you, it's a great film. You know, when Josh was a little kid and all he had was Adventures in Babysitting to keep him warm at night, it was perfect. You know, and now, you know, it's still, he has those, you know, when there was a monster in his closet, he probably threw the movie on, and it made him feel safe. And, you know, so it works.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Until the record driver showed up with the hook for a hand, and that kind of shot the whole calming monster thing out the window.
No, it was the hearse driver from Burnt Offerings that showed up. Just yeah.
Connective tissue here. Weird.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about the cast, because the cast is pretty cool. You have they're so cool. I can't think of it. You got Elisabeth Shue. You have Vincent D'Onofrio, a young Vincent D'Onofrio in it. You also have a young Bradley Whitford, Penelope Ann Miller, Keith Coogan, who was, you know, big in that time. You also had Anthony Rapp, the one who personally took down Kevin Spacey. And so you had a really good cast. It was a very good cast. And you also had Clark Johnson, who's one of the best TV directors right now, and he had a good acting career as well. He was the gang leader in The Red. So great cast. I thought everybody was good. Probably the biggest cast member that, you know, was silly was the gang leader dude, the mafia guy, or whatever you want to call that guy. That dude seemed like he was straight out of a cartoon. But I guess it worked for this film, though. You know what I mean? What do you think, Josh?
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. He was very cartoonish, and it's weird how his face just kind of fit in with all of the absurd situations they kept winding up in. So he just seemed like the perfect cartoon villain to cap off all of these zany misadventures when it's just supposed to be a trip to the bus station to pick up a friend.
Did he say zany? Yeah. There it is. Funny. Okay, so let's get into the plot. So, Jen, the plot. You know, one thing that this movie, and there's several movies that's done this. You also had a movie called Judgment Night that was not a comedy, but it had a very similar theme of people from the suburbs being afraid. Once you go into that city, you know, somebody's cat, I guess, going into the scary city. I don't know if you guys remember that movie, Judgment Night. And this film has that as well. The idea of, you know, being in the suburbs and being afraid to go in the city. They make it like the city is this mystical place where you may lose your life. So, but anyway, so what's your thoughts on the plot of the film, Jen?
Well, so when we were watching this all together, I've seen this movie a couple of times before, and one of the things that I noticed this time around was it felt a lot. Don't laugh, but it felt a lot like the way that we now watch The Purge, where it's like, you know, your life depends on getting through the night, but there's all of these social things that are going to stand in your way, whether it's you don't have any money, or there's homeless people that are quasi bothering you, or there's, you know, gangs out to get you. It was such a strange feeling to see it this time through, because the plot itself seems to it lends itself to this idea that the only important thing is getting these kids through, like King said, through the city. And there was such a strange, surreal feeling to it, where I had to kind of step back and remember that this was shot at a time when maybe white suburbia was a little bit more exclusive than it is now. Because
it's
really
exclusive now.
Maybe more is all I was thinking.
Yeah, it's definitely white suburban nightmare fuel. Basically, hey,
yeah,
we're going into the city. Oh my gosh, there's poor people who are crazy and homeless people who are crazy. There's people who don't look like us who are kind of scary, and
even the
maybe
music,
they're okay after all.
Even the music is different, and then poor people have guns, and like there was a lot packed into
They're crazy and they're threatening. Yeah,
and as an adult, it feels really weird. But
it is.
But it's funny because all of the times that I have seen this in the past, I don't really remember thinking that it was that there was anything wrong with it. It just felt like, okay, well, this is mischievous fun. Oh, how hilarious is it that she is stuck? How many times have I babysat in this sort of not that kind of way, but how many times have I babysat when everything that could go wrong did go wrong? And it really, it's strange how I think we feel so different about films depending upon when we see them in our lives. So from the plot standpoint, it was actually I actually thought it was good, but you can tell that it just has a shelf life of sort of age. There's like an age limit where you begin to say, yeah, okay, no, this doesn't work for me anymore. Does that make sense?
Perfect sense. Perfect sense. So that's the plot. Okay, so in order to get them to the big city, right, so they can have their adventure, you have Penelope Ann Miller's character is trapped in a train station?
It's a bus station.
Bus
station. Bus station.
Right. I'm sorry.
In a phone booth.
And remember that she actually ran away. She ran away. So it's not like she was there under duress. She wasn't kidnapped or anything. She just ran away and ended up there and couldn't get back.
Right. So that that storyline, it's kind of funny. And I don't know, I would say that, I don't know, even today, from today's standards, does that fly in your, because I know they remade this film a couple of years ago. I didn't watch it.
Neither did I.
Yeah, I think 2016 they
it's an original movie.
Yeah. So wait, let's see. Yeah, 2016.
Well, no. If they redid it in 2016, then you really wouldn't have much of a bus station or phone booths or anything else. So they'd have to improvise things.
Well, that was the thing about this movie, though, right? Everything was contrived, and it was meant to be contrived. It wasn't. They didn't hide it. They didn't pretend that it wasn't supposed to be that way. It really felt like everything was contrived because that's what gets them from one adventure to the next.
Right.
So that's what furthers the plot along, are these contrived actions. And I honestly, it's weird that it works, but it really does.
Yeah, but we all gotta love the Hook guy.
Oh, the Hook guy was great.
Can we talk about the timeline of events?
Sure, go ahead.
All right, because first, she's singing and dancing, in her bedroom, happy about, the night's events. Then she gets called, or her plans get canceled, or I don't remember which comes first. But her date's broken, and she has to babysit. And then Brenda, I'm going to go ahead and call her unreliable person in Chris's life, number one, runs away, even though she said, "Oh, I'm going to spike my stepmom's drink with Drano," which was, I think, product placement number one. Weird product placement too.
That's a terrible product placement.
It was bad.
So, she's babysitting. She has to go, and of course, what's his face's stupid friend Daryl has to, show up and be a complete perv, bringing his dad's Playboy magazine along, and they're off. They're in the car, So that sets the wheels in motion. Talking about the hook guy, they get a blowout on the freeway, and he just happens to be driving by and offers them help. He even says he'll make sure the tire's taken care of. Not a problem. Everything's cool. Movie in and out, done, right? No, because Dawson gives him a call on the radio and says, hey, that guy's at your old lady's house again. So what do? They move on to the next step of the adventure and wind up in front of this guy's girlfriend's place or whatever it is. And they witness an attempted murder and almost get shot themselves. So what do? They hop into the nearby car, which belongs to the guy seeing the girl, but it's also being stolen at the same time.
Wait a minute. Did you say that the person that was on the phone was the Vincent D'Onofrio character?
On the radio, yeah.
Wow, that's a good catch. So they set him up early. See, that's good writing.
Well, okay, I'll tell you this much. I'll give this movie credit over the last comedy movie we saw, because this one has setups and payoffs. Throughout the movie, they have tons of setups, and they pay each and every one of them off. Even if it's a minor setup, there's a good payoff. So, I'll give this movie that much credit. It did its job. It did it well.
And it sets up her singing from the very opening scene.
Absolutely. Everything it had, everything set up and everything paid off. I'm going to say it because the movie said it, quoting the movie here, if anyone gets offended. Thor is a homo. That's set up for something else to come up, right? All kinds of little bits and pieces all work into the end. Why is this kid walking around in the Thor thing? Well, I don't know, maybe because Marvel was desperate back in the 80s and this was their chance to get some sort of recognition, even though nobody cared about Thor. Nobody cared about Thor in the 80s.
Wait, I have a story about that. Hold on, I have a story about that.
You have a story about someone caring about Thor?
No, Thor is a homo sapien.
Chris Columbus didn't know who... originally, the character was written to idolize He-Man and She-Ra. And Chris Columbus didn't know who those were. And so he, who had read comics, said, no, let's go with a comic character, and he chose Thor.
Because Thor was the cheapest one to get at the time.
Probably.
Marvel said, yeah, $5, you can use Thor, no problem.
Yep, probably because they had that hat on set.
Exactly.
Right, and Thor wasn't really a thing then. So that was she was into Thor before Thor was a thing.
Well, Thor had been around since the 60s, but nobody cared.
Right.
Nobody cared. I don't care. There's maybe one guy out there in the world right now who's probably screaming at the screen right now going, I've been a Thor fan right from the start. He's the greatest. Like, you're the only one, dude. Only one. Sorry.
Wow.
However, the movie is very good for every setup is earned. Like there's no loose ends. They don't have a build up and you go, oh, what's that for? I mean, and even when they do it, it's even better because it's subtle, because you don't go, oh, that when it comes back, you go, aha, that was good. Okay, that was a good callback. So, it does it right. It does it subtly, so it's not in your face going, oh, this is important, folks, watch this. But then when it pays it off, you go, ha ha, oh, I was paying attention and I got that. So, you know what? I give the film that much. It's very good.
Yeah, why wasn't this movie screenplay nominated for real, though? I mean,
really good writing. A lot of stiff competition.
Very good writing. I mean, so
adequate writing. I'm sorry. The one thing I will say about this film, the plot, I would say, is that it was. Imagine you're that couple of coming from the prom in The Warriors, and you sit in the subway. Film from that point of view. You're the suburban guy who's coming to the streets and seeing all this weird shit and going, okay, I don't think I want to be here anymore. This is terrifying. So that's what this film was. And then they walked into the guys from Bad, and that was terrible.
Yeah, everything leads from one situation directly to another. Even from the hopping into the stolen car to going to the chop shop and meeting Mr. Cartoon Villain. where they're all going to get brutally murdered for no reason other than the car thief is a great guy that
doesn't think.
Not at all. Hi, this is my name.
Yeah.
First
Hi, here's my name. I'm going to take you to where I work, and I'm going to show you to everybody.
Everyone's going to be cool with it. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Now, I like when they open the door and they started to drive in, and you're like going, "Oh, gee, he's at a chop shop. Why? Because there's sparks flying everywhere. And there's
machines going off, and lighting, food lighting.
It's like
why did they write such important information on a porno magazine?
Oh, you're spoiling stuff now. But by the way, what was that important information? Do we know? I don't remember.
Cars that were going to Philadelphia.
Was that it?
Yeah.
That was it. A list of cars. So okay, hold on. Is it because that was the only copy of that list that they had to get it? Because that's not really incriminating. Here's a list of cars. Maybe it had the VIN numbers on it. I don't know. But okay, that thing gets tossed into a garbage bin. It ain't going to mean anything. Somebody finds it, looks at it. Oh, here's a list of cars. I guess it's a wish list for somebody.
Well, they wrote it. They wrote it in that book because they figured nobody would look at it. But I'm like, going, he was a Playboy, so why are you writing it in there?
In the centerfold. Directly on the centerfold.
Right. Even then,
if you think about it,
kill these people for that list. Like that list was not that important.
But, the funny thing though was, and I think it went over. I might have went over people's heads. Was when the black guy goes, "Yeah, I took it upstairs."
I think I even said at the time we were watching.
That is hilarious. That he basically is like, kind of rub one off to it,
or on it.
That was hilarious. Oh man! So there was. Who knows? There might have been DNA on that copy too, but maybe that's why he wanted to get it back. So
well, I know he wanted the babysitter and the kids to die because they saw everything.
Right.
Not just the list, but they were going to kill him anyway. But then they ran off with the list, and it's like, now we got to kill him twice.
My favorite though is like they're like, we're going to kill you guys after we have a meeting first.
A meeting with the rules, Robert's rules too. It was great.
Wait, what the hell? Like, have a meeting first. Like, why?
These guys put the organized in organized crime. Because they were a very, very organized group. They had their nice table set up and everything. Hey, you guys, okay, you got to stop chopping the stuff. Get out. We're doing the meeting now. Point of order. Okay, let's do this. It was they knew what they were doing. I wouldn't have had my operation right in the middle of the floor. Maybe I would have used the upstairs room.
Yeah, start out there.
Well, yeah, because in the middle of the room with all the sparks and everything flying, all their important paperwork could catch fire.
I mean, they even had paperwork. These guys were very, very, very organized.
They certainly did not have a safety coordinator.
No.
As you could tell by the detached vent.
OSHA hadn't been there in quite some time.
Hilarious.
Wait, do you want to hear something really funny about how they shot this? Speaking about how like grungy and stuff it was. Mm-hmm. So this movie was shot primarily in Toronto, and apparently not grungy enough because the Canadian city streets didn't look at all like Chicago, and they had film people, people on the set, spread garbage in the streets, and then they tried to leave it a couple of times. And someone from the city of Toronto would always come and clean up the trash. So they ended up having to post some crew on the streets at night so that they could leave everything where it was and didn't have to reset it for the next day. I just find that so funny.
Well, it's only the mid to late 80s. Don't worry, we ran out of money. That's not happening anymore.
But people stopped cleaning up the streets.
You know what? You can't afford to have guys out there doing that all the time now.
Right.
So it's expensive.
And I see, as far as casting is concerned, I'm reading it. It says that Paramount Pictures wanted Molly Ringwald.
I heard that.
And also they they
it wasn't John Hughes enough.
yeah, so then
It
they
wasn't John Hughes enough.
but then they said they also tried to cast Valerie Bertinelli, but it didn't work.
Oh, that would have been so bad. Oh no.
Well, you never know. You never know.
No.
There is an alternate universe where this has happened. You realize every choice that we've ever made has been made. That movie is out there with both those stars.
Oh no.
That's why I wish Sliders was something we could do. I would love to go to every universe to see the different casting choices that were made and films that they've done different choices. I want to be in the universe where the shark worked in Jaws, and you find out Steven Spielberg was like he was a hack and a nobody in that universe because they shot too much of that shark and it looked too fake, and nobody liked it, and it became a nothing film.
That's actually funny. I used to say that the shark deserved directing credit for the film because
to do that,
because it was saying that it was not gonna, it didn't want to work because the shark knew that so it purposely didn't work so that it would
put sentience into a mechanical object. There, I just want to let you know that.
Have you not seen the fourth one?
No.
The Revenge, where
in fact it should be probably one of the films we should be reviewing.
The shark follows them from New York to the Bahamas.
Well, yeah,
right.
It's called Jaws: The Revenge.
Right. So this time it's personal.
Yes.
And what's up, Cher?
I want to ask you guys a question about this movie. Right? What did you guys think about the romance that they sort of set up, both from the babysittee and the babysitter?
You mean the unrequited?
Well, okay, so there was the unrequited part,
and
then there was her falling sort of head over heels for someone that she had. I don't know. This part of the movie is the only part, even when I saw it a long time ago, that I felt like was so cheesily done, and in the most horrible way too. Because it just, I mean, my heart broke for him.
Well, she's got to have it's a teen comedy in the 80s. So two things are going to happen. She's got to either not have a boyfriend and find love with the guy she's always dreamed of, or she's going to have a shitty boyfriend who she's going to leave for the guy who's the man of her dreams. I think this film fails because they had a good chance to set her up with an interesting character, and it sure looks like at first oh yeah, you know what? This guy, look at him. He's smooth. He's a good-looking guy. He's nice. He's actually friendly, even though he's got a sort of criminal.
Keep her alive.
But they go, you know what? Sorry, this is a suburban fear film, so there's no way in hell she's going to end up with that guy in the end. She's got to go end up with the mullet guy from the what do you call it? The frat house. So you know what? That's where this film kind of really drops the ball. If
I didn't like it,
they should have gone with the carjacker. Because
everything else in this movie sort of like goes along and everything's cool, and I mean, even though it's outrageous, it's still super fun and everything. And then the romance just makes me, at the end, it just breaks my heart. And it like totally breaks all the effect of the film for me because I feel sad.
It's still about a girl trying to find her boyfriend. Look, she's trying to find her life, and that's a man.
Let me read this comment real quick. It was great, Camp. That was what it was for them to pull off such an entertaining movie that stands up today. Because I saw it again about 4 years ago and about 6 years ago before that with no big stars. Not about social issues, sex, violence, and other usual suspects.
Wait, no sex?
Harp on Bravo.
Wait a minute. Sex plays right through this film. It's all about,
there's a lot of innuendo.
It's about sexually frustrated teens. I mean, this film is all about that.
But they're not getting
fancy about being with this babysitter. There's hookers in this thing. There's a whole bunch of stuff, innuendos.
He's right in one way. There is no overt sexuality, and that is sort of refreshing, especially when you consider at the time there was a lot. So
Okay, so
in that sense, yes, he's right.
I didn't see any TNA. Fine, but this film was definitely about people who were hard up and looking for it in every way, shape, form. The best friend is a total pervert through the entire film. He even tries to look down someone's top while they're sleeping. I mean,
wait, there's something wrong with
all about creepy, sexually repressed people.
Wait a minute, there's something wrong with looking down someone's top while they're sleeping?
Yes, can't date.
Better to do it.
There is, yes.
Okay, guys, I'll stop doing it.
Good. I mean, at least be subtle about it. He wasn't. He was actually lifting the top and looking down. I mean,
hey, then don't ever watch Revenge of the Nerds.
You know what? That film does not hold up in any way, shape, or form. That film does not.
No, it's so awful. Oh my
Date
god.
rape. You've got homophobia. You've got basically guys being creepy voyeurs. Good, clean fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and I loved Revenge of the Nerds when I was a kid, but nowadays, I go, this is too damn cringy now. There's just too many things that are not right.
Yeah, agreed.
And the sequel too was bad.
You know what? The sequel at least wasn't as horrible in the sense that the first one was, like in kind of like rapey, creepy, nasty.
Yeah, it was Nerds in Paradise. I remember.
Yes, Nerds in Paradise.
Right. Anthony Edwards said, "I can't do it again, fellas."
Sorry, guys. I'll do a cameo, but that's it.
Right. That's so
kind of like Lupus in Bad News Bears Breaking Training.
Yeah. I will say one thing about the I don't know, the subliminal messaging in this, and that is, and I feel this now because I'm a grown up, so it feels very at the core almost kind of preachy, like doing the right thing gets you rewarded. There's don't run away from home because you're gonna end up in a bad situation. I feel like the only place where they really failed was, I think the lesson was supposed to be that hey, Brad should have known that he shouldn't be so obsessed with Chris, and that he should just want her to be happy. But I feel like that's what the message was supposed to be, but I don't feel like they succeeded there. It just, to me, again, it was the only part of the movie that I didn't like. I felt so sad for him.
Yeah, I watch it now, and all I see is a movie that says, be afraid of leaving where you are because the outside world is scary. Different people are scary. If you look at the scenes where when they're in the bar, you look at all that crowd. They're all sitting there frowning and looking dangerous and scary, and they're supposed to be scary. And it's like, it's just a crowd of people who were having a good time at a bar, and all of a sudden, they turn to them, and it's like, oh, okay, that's terrifying. They're scary people because they're not us. And
but do you think? But do you think? Wait, do you think is the camera seeing them, or is the camera seeing us? Like, are we reacting to the way that we think that the bar would react, or is it the characters that are seeing it that way? Because that to me was also kind of, I thought, a cool idea, and that is that for the most part, the film plays like we are seeing things from the kids' perspective, not necessarily from the grown-up perspective.
Possibly, but I don't know. I mean, yeah. I honestly,
I know.
Just being, hey,
that's true.
Hey, we got a bar full of black people, and they're all frowning, so that's supposed to scare most of the audience. This is for, and it's like, what? What are you talking about? What? But it's like John Hughes stuff. It's a white suburban fantasy world where if you go outside of that bubble, it's a scary place and it's terrible, and you've got crime and poverty. But home is safe, and that's what it's all about: is getting back home where it's safe. And that's the film's kind of the same. There's a few moments where it kind of breaks it. I mean, they got the hook hand, and he's actually a nice guy, but then he turns out to be a psycho anyway. So they were right about him in the first place.
I wouldn't say he was a psycho, but
he started shooting people.
Well, I mean, look, man, he was sleeping with his wife. So no, but you know what? We should do a movie. We should do a segment called Lessons Learned from the Movie. Okay. So that but we'll do it later at the end of the movie. But I'll say, I mean, not today. We'll start with the next.
What did I learn today?
Yeah, but I'll say what I learned is what I learned was back in the 80s, $50 get you some tails. So basically,
yeah, more tail $50 back then.
Actually, he didn't even have the 50. What he had like $45. So
he overspent.
$5
on a cheap place would have got you just all you needed.
Look, man, that's
saying is
$45, boy. She was so happy to get that $45. I'm like, well, shoot, like,
so that doesn't work today.
$50 is
well, you know what, ladies?
That's not even dinner.
I got a smooth 45 for you. Who wants to take it?
$45. That's not enough.
No, we haven't even mentioned yet that one of the ongoing gags was her resemblance to the centerfold in that issue. That
it was really her
too, and that everybody knew it, and everybody saw it, and that there was.
Wait, is there another version of the movie where she really was?
No,
that centerfold.
Well, in a different universe, probably. And she was trying to live it down. And it was a different kind of movie, though, and it wasn't really a comedy. It was about this woman who had been a centerfold and abused all her life, and she wanted to get back to suburbia and live a nice, quiet life and be a babysitter. But her past kept calling.
What if the movie ended? What if the movie ended where she's hugging on old dude, and then the mailman, the guy,
yeah, Bullethead,
yeah, the guy, right? And the mailman brings her mail. And in there, you see residual check from Playboy, and you find out that was really her.
It could have been, yeah. It wasn't.
And that she's not really 17 because everyone kept saying, "You're in high school."
Well, yeah, because she was actually 25, 26 at the time.
Yeah, she was 25.
And her boyfriend, who was supposed to be a year older than her, looked like he was 40. He had a hairline. He had wrinkles and crow's feet.
28.
She was only 17. You know what I mean?
I was her boyfriend in high school.
So, yeah, he didn't look young at all. Why did they keep younger actors? Was there not younger actors available?
Well, look, there's never. I'm trying to think of a movie where high school students were played by actual high school students, and it's very rare to find one because
High School Musical
are good actors.
Or at least they look like they're high
Sorry,
school.
what was that, Jen?
I said High School Musical.
But no, I mean, at least if they.
Sorry, I mean a good film. Sorry, I didn't mean to make it
We're
that.
on Cinema du Fromage.
You know what? Hey, there's a lot of coronet films with high school students starring in them, so you learn about personal hygiene and how to get by with your friends without being jealous.
Yeah,
but all right, so let's talk about Thor because this is the important part of the film.
Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah, this binds the whole film together. They're resolved. It's the actual Deus ex machina of this film, where the god comes from the clouds to save the kids. And in this case, the god is Thor, played by Josh. Who played our Thor?
I did.
And there is this picture. Josh was a cutie back then, eh?
You might recognize him for another movie he did in the same year, released in the same year.
Yeah,
and that was Full Metal Jacket. That's Vincent D'Onofrio.
Yeah, great.
So did he get ripped to do this movie, or did he get fat first? Like, which one came first? Getting fat?
Well, I think they're working on Full Metal Jacket for a few years prior to its release.
Okay.
So this is probably after, and he probably lost all that weight.
You know what? We should review that movie, but not on Cinema du Fromage.
Oh, no, yeah, that's definitely not a Cinema du Fromage.
No, that is a great freaking movie.
It's like, you got $45. If I don't get it, I'm in a world of shit. I am in a world of shit.
Love that movie, man.
When we do Film Freaks again, that'd be good. Good call.
I like Kubrick films. Awesome. But we're not talking about Kubrick films. We're talking about Columbus films.
Hey, Barry Lyndon might end up on it. No, just playing.
What? Are you kidding me? Barry Lyndon.
Yeah, it was fine.
That was a great film.
So
beautiful film.
Dawson at Dawson's Garage,
yes,
is literally lowered onto the scene.
Exactly. tell you, this is
Steam,
Ex Machina.
lights, and gets recognized immediately, like you said, for the god that he is, the god of thunder himself, Thor. By who? The resident Thor fan.
The only person who cares about Thor.
I wonder though, were people in the theater going, "Who's this Thor?" They keep talking about.
No. I mean, he wasn't that unknown, but it was.
No.
Come to think of it,
a slight bit about comics would have known it. So.
If they went with He-Man, this would have also have worked.
Possibly. You know what? I think, believe it or not, I think the Thor thing does work for it. Because if you look at it, like I said, this is Deus, which is the god from the machine. So back in the old days in the Greek plays, we got to resolve everything. Well, we can't think of a clever way of doing it. So they had this thing where they pull out the pulleys and down came the guys representing gods and Olympics of the Olympus, and they would come and they would fix all the problems with some magic, and off they would go. And this was the exact same thing. He fixed their entire problems by.
Well, he was kind of.
You and Jim love that Greek mythology stuff, don't you?
Well, hey.
Well, it's foundational storytelling. I mean, it's foundational Western storytelling, I should say. Foundational Western storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
But he did have to be convinced, at first it was, you don't have $50, you don't have a car.
Yep. They were unfaithful. They blasphemed him by calling him a homo. See? And then a true believer shows her faith in him and offers him a sacrifice of her hat. And then he comes and gives them the wheels that they need to get home.
She literally bends a knee.
She does.
And offers up
a tribute to the gods. And in reciprocity, the gods answer and allow them to go home.
She offers him her hat.
Yep.
And he does the coolest thing ever by saying "Nah, I got one at home."
Yeah. But kind of the idea of being called a hero. On the basic side, she called him a hero, and he's like, "Oh, I'm just a wrench monkey, and you calling me a hero makes me feel good about myself." Because a few minutes ago, that guy called me a homo, and that made me feel bad about myself because that was an insult back then.
I mean, it's still an insult now.
Yeah, if you definitely using that term, yes, but referring to someone as being homosexual is not necessarily insult unto itself, because that person could be a homosexual and it doesn't matter.
Well, I mean, if you eat meat and somebody says you're a vegan, that's
you're a vegan. How's that an insult?
Because you eat meat.
Oh, if I eat meat and they call me a vegan?
Yeah, you say you vegan.
Then I'd be going, no, I eat meat. I don't feel personally insulted by that. No,
you should. You should.
But back then, I mean, and there's some people still like that.
Back then, still now.
Yeah, there's still people like that who would.
It's a lot of people like that.
Beat you up for that. And it's like, why?
No, I mean, it's not back then. It's still now. It's still,
that's the thing.
You still get your ass whooped.
Yeah, but it's not bandied about as much. And really.
My only response is
it's like, okay, what? No, I'm not, but hey.
The only response, in my opinion, is, how did you know?
I thought you were going to say, I'm not, but my boyfriend is.
My boyfriend would take exception to that.
Yeah, but I'm straight.
But it was definitely a very touching moment when he
absolutely
builds up her belief in Thor by just that little line of, I got one at home, oh, by the way, I'm Thor, you know?
Yeah, wink.
Although she might be permanently disillusioned for life,
or worse, permanently deluded.
Has anyone ever seen an interview with Vincent D'Onofrio about playing this? Now I'm curious to hear what his thoughts.
I never have.
Yeah, I slummed it, and I did a Chris Columbus film for 5 minutes.
He's probably proud of it.
I got to have him on the
Maybe because how he looked at the time, but
he probably has that. It might be his profile pic on LinkedIn.
I'm going to get him on the podcast, and we're going to talk about this.
Good, do it, and don't forget to have that picture while you're talking to him.
Absolutely.
Remember when you used to be buff?
You know what? He would have Eddie Murphy on to talk about Pluto Nash.
Well, somebody has to.
Somebody has to hold him account for that one.
Hey,
what were you thinking?
Yeah.
Just tell him, hook him in by saying, "Hey, we really want to talk to you about your series performance in The Mist," and because that'll get him in, and then we can talk about Adventures in Babysitting.
Okay, The Mist was a great movie, by the way.
No, wait, he wasn't in the movie The Mist. He was in a series called The Mist. So let's get him in for that, and then we'll immediately switch it to The Babysitter.
Oh wow!
I think it should start with Vincent. I would like to invite you onto the Wadcast, the show about writers, actors, directors. We talked about the craft and the business, but I really want to talk to you about one of your most seminal works. Came out in 1987, and I believe it is a true classic, as many do, and that is, of course, Adventures in Babysitting.
Yeah, either he'll laugh or get really angry at you.
One or the other. I'm getting a reaction.
Really serious,
like an angry
a joke.
Yeah, he does. I've seen him in interviews. He doesn't look like
kind of odd.
He wouldn't find it funny, I don't think.
He loves his affectation when he does his acting.
You want to talk about Full Metal Jacket? No, not at all.
Yeah, he probably doesn't want to talk about that either.
Right, he's probably tired of talking about
that. He's like, I played the fat guy who was an imbecile, and you did a good job at it. Yeah, I know.
Oh, he should be proud of it though, because he's one of the most in a great movie. He's the memorable character. What's up, Leah Brown?
What if his reaction? What if his reaction is, finally, thank God, somebody wants to talk about it.
So much, maybe he'll hear this conversation and go, they got it. I was trying to play the God coming down to save the film, and I was that part, and nobody got that until now.
Do you think he did like a Brian Cox and was upset when they made Thor without him, being that he, how Brian Cox was the first Hannibal Lecter, and he got upset when they didn't use him? So when they were casting for Thor, you think he probably was like, hey, I've already played him. I already know the character.
Oh, no, because somebody played Thor before him. Yeah. In fact, next year, we're watching that.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, it's a great one.
Yeah.
You're gonna love it. You're going to love it.
I'll be sick that day.
We're talking Bill Bixby, Lou Ferrigno, and some guy playing Thor.
On the TV show? Thor was on it?
They had a made-for-TV movie, The Incredible Hulk Returns, and the guest star was Thor because they were trying to start a Thor movie or a Thor TV series.
It was so bad. It was so
It's got one of my favorite lines in all of film history. It was a time when men and women ate life with shining teeth.
It was so
How can you not write
horrible?
Oh, I think you misremember it. We'll get to see it again.
Oh, Jesus.
I can't wait.
It's got some pathos. It's got some action. It's got adventure. It's got everything.
We got to survive this year first. So,
yeah. Okay, so let's get into how everything was resolved, because I feel like
I thought we just did.
Nah,
it got resolved. Thor gave him the tire.
No, you forgot hanging out of the window, no one seeing it. The black guy saving the day and getting no A.
Well, yeah, and he wasn't going to, because it's an 80s movie about suburban fears of the outside. There was no way in hell he's Denzel Washington in the Pelican Brief. He ain't getting none, though he should have.
We haven't talked at all about them actually going to the father's work.
Oh yes, of course. The scene where it was basically Die Hard.
Yeah, where we got that cool John McClane crossover.
Yep. With dryer tubes.
Okay, why did she not get off at the floor that her parents were on? Well, somebody said in the chat room, well, she didn't know what floor it was.
Hold on. I figured it out.
Wait a minute though. But she said, but I'm like this. She didn't hear all the music and stuff. It was only one place that was active on that building.
But she did. See, she pressed two buttons. You see, there was two buttons pressed. It opened up. She heard the music, realized that's where her parents were, didn't want to get caught, let the doors close, went to the next floor.
She was going there.
She was going there to see her parents.
She was going there to escape. Then she realized, I don't want to get caught by my parents.
Also,
I want to be killed by gangs.
What kid knows what floor their parents work
the
on?
Floor with the music on.
I see.
Well,
What
the button was pressed twice, so it had to have opened before she went to the floor above it.
Remember, in the alley, she saw the building and she's like, "Mom and Dad," and makes a beeline for the building. So she's going to get help.
I think they did. But you're right, though. You're right.
Once she got there, she realized.
Hold on. You're right. They did put it on 2 floors for that reason, but that's stupid because they showed her going to see her parents, and she's being chased by gangsters. So that's just dumb.
But if I'm not mistaken, there is a line where the dad says his floor is being completely redone. Because that's his workspace, and of course they weren't in the workspace upstairs or downstairs.
No, that means she opens up the door. The doors opened up, and she heard all the singing, like you said, and whatever.
And then realized that was a bad mistake to go see her parents.
And she's the dummy.
No. Smart.
That isn't smart.
If she'd met her parents, what would have happened?
Everything would have saved.
No. In fact, her parents would have probably been killed too. Because the gangsters would have probably shot the parents and everybody in that place because they were like, oh, we got to keep our secret of this list on the Playboy thing because apparently that's important enough to chase a kid off the roof. So we're going to kill everybody here.
They didn't have enough bullets to do that.
Sure they did.
They didn't have enough brains to do that for sure.
Yeah.
Because they see her, the cartoon guy sees her outside the window so high up on this skyscraper. And I wish I had my camera on. It's not even connected at the moment. But he had this look on his face like, what? And the look was so weird that the babysitter was like, huh? And looks out the window too. And she's like, oh. And then, the whole, I'm going to tie his feet together. When he goes to run, he's going to fall. Which, of course, the parents the parents of the kids, especially the one on the ledge at that time, the bad guy's talking to directly. They're trying to have a conversation with him, and turns out that's the most exciting part of their evening.
Yep. And they thought he was the help, by the way, because once again, he had a bit of Italian in him, so he had to have been the help. See. Suburban nightmare.
It is.
A little bit of passive racism there.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm saying. That's what this film has. A lot of passive racism.
Hilarious.
It's like it's covered in a comedy veneer.
And how about
you peel that veneer off? It's like, oh, this is kind of ugly.
It's a pretty thin veneer.
I do agree with this. We are thinking a little bit too much.
The bad guy that.
But this is what we do, Chris.
But if you don't think about it,
this is what makes it fun. What makes it fun is we overthink it, and it leads to hilarity. So
yes, because
this is our process.
We're gonna rename the show to Hilarity Ensues.
There you go.
I'm totally down for that. I'm totally down for that.
No, that would be a lie.
Or Cinema du Fromage, Hilarity Ensues.
No, just Cinema du Fromage, and a picture of an actual colon. That's all we need.
Or you could do
hilarity ensues not happening on this show.
Will you give us your colon to take photo?
Sure. Yeah, I could do that. I could get a nice CAT scan.
I agree, Chris. It was just a fun movie. It was definitely a fun movie. Yeah.
Sure was.
2 things we should get to before we wrap things up. One, somebody says something about the idiot that followed her outside the window.
Somebody should have cut the rope.
The jerk off. Yeah. The literal jerk off.
I mean, the whole point was to kill them, right?
Or get the... We don't know what the point was. It was just to be bad guys and follow her. They didn't think any further than that. They could have run her down at one point. They didn't.
And he's the one that winds up getting stranded on the side of the building because the bad...
And falls to his death.
Yeah, they left that part out.
We didn't see that scene, but he falls to his death. There's no way that he doesn't. Later, that big guy's going to shift his feet one way or another because he's frightened. And
it reminded me of Cat's Eye a little bit.
What reminded you of Cat's Eye?
You know, being on outside on the building. We got to do Cat's Eye, by the way.
Reminds me of Batman, because they were on the side of the building when they climbed up.
Actually, when we were watching this, we all said the same thing when they walked into that building. We all said, "Oh wow, we've officially entered babysitting Die Hard."
Yeah. Well, actually, before I said that is basically push the revolving door the other way and you've got her, as opposed to continually pushing forward. These guys did not know how to or press the button and the door will open and you can grab her instead of grabbing at the door.
Dumb bad guy trope.
Yeah, I don't like bad guys who are dumb because it makes the good guys less impressive.
Well, but they at least, you know, they didn't overthink it.
Well, they didn't think at all.
That's our job.
There was no thought at all.
That's our job. They can't take our job from us.
I
we have union. We have a contract.
I know that. I was like, I know that. So it's a good thing they didn't overthink it because, you know, that's stepping on our toes.
That's right.
Josh, you said there was one more thing that you wanted to talk about before we
the race home and final resolution.
Oh, okay. Which was?
Well, first the race home. You know, they get the car.
Yeah.
They see the parents on the road. How fast do your parents drive? I don't know, about 40.
And they all duck at once.
Yeah,
probably would have led them to crashing again and causing all the mayhem to start all over again. But
that's where the creepy friend was trying to cop a feel on Brenda.
Yep. Wholesome family film.
Exactly. And they get home just in time, of course. You know, she has time to clean everything up, which, by the way,
she was good at that.
Babysitter, not a maid, just saying.
She's very good at it.
No, I expect my babysitters to do that.
Well, I mean, it's like if she does that in babysitting, she can do the cleanup that quick. I'm hiring her to do it's like to, you know, babysit my cat or something to clean the house. That was quick.
That's a cheap maid, is what you look at.
Yep.
$5 an hour.
Hey, that's a lot.
So then there's like a brief line during that trip where, you know, the little kid's like, I lost my skate. And well, like you said, setups, payoffs.
Setups and payoffs, absolutely, 100%.
Who shows up immediately?
Mullet guy. Yeah, mullet guy.
I call him unreliable guy in her life, number 3. Her boyfriend, ex-boyfriend at this point. Mike being unreliable person in her life, number 2.
He was with his sister, wasn't he? Can't remember.
So the thing is, this guy shows up that she meets at a frat party earlier that night. Manages to get everyone to pitch in and give her $45, which is, again, $5 short in what they needed. But he shows up where she's working, essentially, and he's just there, and she falls for him while the guy that's been pining for her for who knows how long is watching from the window. She's just like, whatever. Watch me kiss this dude. Watch me. And he does that accepting thing, and put down the window. And yeah, things suck for him. But apparently they work out for the babysitter, which...
It's a John Hughes film. It's John Hughes light.
I'm telling you.
Ducky, right?
Things will not end well with that relationship because, as I've pointed out, she has a very bad track record on trusting people. So there's no reason to believe that what's-his-face from the frat party is the one. So there could be...
He's the one right now.
There's a sequel, and maybe she does wind up with a car thief. Maybe she does wind up with a kid. Who knows?
Yeah, well, hopefully not the kid. Kind of creepy.
Well,
I babysat you, and now I'm dating you.
Well, they're
come on.
It was only 2 years difference.
Diapers, and now we're having sex together. I mean,
Did you guys know I'm sorry, I totally forgot his name now, but the guy who played Brad, the actor that played Brad, apparently sometime after the movie shot, he really did ask her out, and she laughed at him, and he said that he felt like he was reliving everything all over again. He was actually really sad. That came from some trivia site, but oh my god, that's like, to me, I think that's the perfect punctuation at the end of this movie. See, life imitates art.
16.
Yeah, he was an actual teenager.
Yeah, he was an actual teenager, and she was like 30 odd.
Yeah, I'm not saying that there wasn't some problems. I'm just saying life imitates art. This is what happens.
7 years older than him.
Look, that's the thing. You have your crush. It happens. Everybody does that when they're young. They have a crush on someone who's older. But the reality is, if that older person reciprocates, that person is a criminal. Just saying it. Because usually the age gap is too large, and you don't know what you're doing as a kid. So
hey, I didn't say they would like get together the next week. You know, maybe they both go to the same college.
She'd be long out of college by the time he went to college.
2 years.
He says,
Yeah, they were only supposed to be 2 years in the movie.
But yeah, she was 26. He was 16.
Well, in real life. Wait, in real life, right?
Sorry,
in the movie, they were only 2 years apart.
She would have gone on. He'd be just starting college. She's already had like 2 years of college experience.
Mm-hmm.
He's not going to be anything for her. She's like, oh, yeah, that'd be kind of cute. But
you never know.
That's going to be, we got too drunk at a party. Things got out of hand. And I regret that now. Sorry. That's how that would end.
I think there's a movie somewhere where he eventually gets her.
No. No. The same way there's not going to be a movie where Ducky gets Molly Ringworm from 16
Molly
Candles.
Ringworm.
All right, so let me tease the next film.
Okay, let's do that.
All right, here we go.
Oh
Our
my
next
God.
film is called.
Spoil this, by the way, for those who haven't.
You are really bad at you're messing up my
Sorry, go ahead.
segue. All right. Next on Cinema de Fromage, we will be covering the film Soylent Green, the 1973 sci-fi film. In a densely overpopulated, starving New York City of the future, NYPD detective Robert Thorne, played by Charlton Heston, investigates the murder of an executive at Rations manufacturer, Soylent Corporation. With the help of elderly academic Solomon Roth, played by Edward G. Robinson, Thorne begins to make real progress until the governor mysteriously pulls the plug. Obsessed with the mystery, Thorne steps out from behind the badge and launches his own investigation. Released on May 9th, 1973, director Richard Fleischer. Excuse me, sorry. That is next week's film, Soylent Green.
I just have to say that description just goes through 2/3 of the movie.
People ain't gonna remember.
I don't like that when they get that much away all at once. It's got to be doled out little bits and pieces. Get people interested.
Can I suggest a new segment?
Yes. What is that?
How much did the trailer give away?
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, we should do that as soon as the trailer is over. We should say, hey, that too much information or not enough information, or that movie was not what the trailer said it was.
Okay.
Like, for example, what was that? The Disorganized Crime. The trailer did not seem to be the same as the movie I saw.
I feel like the same for Don't Be Afraid of the Dark.
Yeah, well,
They promised us a horror movie. But what we got
for TV thing, so they're not, their trailers aren't as good.
The
Clearly.
Babysitting trailer included everything from each one of their little misadventures up to the point where she's back on the couch and is like, oh, it was an uneventful day.
Yep.
That's true.
Kind of took away the tension at the end of that film. It's like, oh, I know she's going to be back, so thank goodness. Didn't know that was going to happen.
All
and
right.
it gave away Thor too, didn't it?
Although it did have a great line, on the rafters, what did he say? Better charge an extra $1 an hour.
Yes.
Oh God.
Like, okay.
What? That's not in the movie.
And I know it was in the trailer. I don't recall it being in the movie, but
No, it was not in the movie. It was in the trailer because I thought that's a funny line. How come it wasn't in the movie? So, all right, let's give just a quick, before we finish, let's see if each of you can give a quick yay or nay of recommending this film, and is this entertaining, yes or no? Starting with Kente.
Very entertaining. I recommend people should check it out.
All right. Olaf.
Yay, it is, like I said, entertaining. Check it out.
All right. Jen.
I had such a great time with this. I feel especially close to this movie now that we've all seen it together. I feel like we actually all grew up through it. So yeah, no. It was actually really entertaining. It was just fun, period.
All right. I'm going to save the best for last, which is our good friend Josh, because he picked the film. So I'm going to say, yeah, it was a fun movie. It was okay. It was good. You know, watch it if you like it. Good. Dark, though. There's a dark underside to that thing just hidden underneath. Josh.
Okay, I feel like I have to live up to the moment. Yeah, it's a fun movie, and you can watch it if you got my $50.
Nice.
Good one.
Hilarious. All right, look at this. Thank you for this entertaining live stream. Indeed, thank you most kindly. Thank you.
Well, we might as well go out on a good note then, and let's everybody give ourselves information where people can contact us, and let's get the hell out of here before we ruin it. Olaf.
Well, you can stalk me on Facebook at Olaf Barbosa, but it's like, as I say, don't stalk too close because I do get nervous and I have an itchy trigger finger. All right.
All right. Jen.
So in good news, and for the next movie, I actually have an awesome recipe. I redid the site Movies Make the Meal. It is now at moviesandmeals.com, and I can't wait to roll it out. I actually did a recipe for this movie too. I will unveil it as soon as I get everything sort of all together. But next week, I promise to have everything all rolled out so we can actually have a good link. You can find me on Twitter at followingbliss1, and that's really about it. So yeah, that's how you can find me.
Excellent. And I really appreciate what you just said, but I'm not going to say why I appreciate what you said about the recipe for next week.
About next week, yeah. I figured you wouldn't.
I say a damn thing, but
Josh.
Okay, hold on to your hats, kids. This is going to take a minute. If you want to follow me, you can follow me on Twitter at SkidComic or at Semicore Studios, or even at the Wadcast. Or is it Wadcast Pod? I don't remember. Either way, you can find out more about my podcast at SemicoreStudios.com. And if you want to go directly to the podcast, go to SemicoreStudios.com. You can find all the podcasts anywhere you find podcasts, Spotify, podcatchers. It's all there. I usually run Friday, Monday, and Saturday. And, of course, each and every week here, Thursday for Cinema du Fromage. That's pretty much all I'll say.
Kente, you got stuff to say?
You can get me at Kente F on Twitter. You can get me at Kente Ferguson on Instagram. Of course, the website is indyradio.org. That's INDY radio.org.
All right. And if you do want to talk to me about anything about the show or anything else like that, you can send emails to kingpenguin@gmail.com. Or you can try to see the terrible website that I've created called Professor Psycho's Movie Madhouse. It's a long name. .com, and you can see videos and all kinds of bizarre stuff that I do just because I do. And that's really about it. Oh, by the way, because of next week, we're in a trifecta. See this? We have seen this in season 1. We have seen this in season 3, and now in season 4, we will be seeing this. So I can put this to rest. And I can show the movie this week because I do have it on Blu-ray. And so we'll have to figure out how we're going to do that. And I guess
I love it. I love it. All right, you guys, have a good one.
All right, guys. Bye-bye.
Night all.